back in 2009, the beginning of Bitcoin, it was the cypherpunks and everybody who was objecting to central bank authoritarianism who got together and said, we're going to make our own money. We're going to make our own money. It's called Bitcoin, and it's passive resistance. And it's going to topple the central bank empire. The central banks around the world, I predict, one of my predictions will be one of the major central banks in the world will collapse in 2021. They're highly leveraged. As your guest, Jim Rickards, points out many times, these banks are leveraged 50, 60, 70 to 1. They're leveraged more than long-term capital management was when long-term capital management was at its highest point of leverage. So Rickards would know about this stuff. And one of them is going to collapse in 2021, and that will start an avalanche out of fiat money and paper money, and the top beneficiary of that will be Bitcoin. That's one of the catalysts for a price appreciation in 2021. But my point is this, Daniela, Bitcoin is a protest against fiat money, central banks, authoritarianism. And the way the protest works is the cypherpunks and everyone involved in Bitcoin, essentially, we made our own money. It's perfect money. It has nothing to do with the state. You've separated for the first time in history, state from money. It's never been done before, ever. And now it has been finished. It has been completed. It has been figured out, and it's been launched, and it's out there for 10, 11 years, and it's working. And the nation state, as we know it, is going to dissolve. Central banks are going to dissolve, and fiat money is going to go the way of all fiat money has gone over 300 years. Not a single fiat money, paper money scheme has lasted over the past 300 years. They've all gone to zero or lost 99% of their purchase power. So it should be no shock to anyone that the US dollar is going to go to zero. The British pound looks particularly horrible. That's definitely going to go to zero. All the fiat money is going to go to zero. And of course, the chief beneficiary of that would be Bitcoin. And these are the catalysts. These are the catalysts to see this price projection, and why, when we get into the numbers, you'll understand more why I have the number that I have. And this is the thing, fiat money promotes war. Paul Krugman over at the New York Times said that the US dollar is backed with men with guns. He admitted in the New York Times that the US dollar fosters violence. It's backed by violence. It's terrorism in a little slip of paper. The US dollar is a terrorist note. It's essentially backed by financial terrorism. Whereas Bitcoin is peace. So if I want to get some Bitcoin from you, I have to offer you something that you're willing to take and trade for Bitcoin. So there's no coercion because it's unconfiscatable. I cannot confiscate or coerce the Bitcoin out of you. So I can only get it through peaceful trade. So that hopefully appeals to the angels of our better nature, us as humans, and we move away from this violence and the paper money and the fiat money and the U.S. foreign policy and the politicians that love violence. They live on violence. We don't want that anymore. We want peace. We want Bitcoin.
Okay.
Well, I'm probably not going to sell my Bitcoin. I'm going to pass it on to the next generation. I think I have a responsibility to do that. And number two, I wouldn't want to sell Bitcoin back into fiat and give power, peace, turn peace back into war. So, and I'm not motivated in any way to sell any Bitcoin. The more I hold, the hodler, I keep going hodling Bitcoin. The faster the revolution happens away from war, and we enter an era of peace. The thing about that holds humans back is something that's a vestige from our days, hundreds of thousands of years ago. Hard-coded in our mind is this instinct toward fear, and that's what holds us back. Bitcoin gets rid of our fears and replaces it with love. And with a pure love in our hearts and our minds, we can move on to some different evolutionary step of greater good. And that's what we need to do. So I wouldn't want to put the Bitcoin I have back into fiat money circulation to feed, and then somebody in Washington will turn that into a bomb, and they'll go kill somebody in a foreign country because they're sadists. I don't want that. We got a bunch of sadists running this country, and they run by fiat money. Every time they kill 100,000 people, they go print more money. It's disgusting.
Max Keiser's 2021 Bitcoin forecast. You're hearing it for the first time here, folks.
I'm going with $220,000 per Bitcoin as a 2021 target, and that would bring us up to over $4 trillion market valuation, which I think is a good 2021 objective. You know, we were going to catch up to gold. That would bring us up to not quite half gold's valuation, but getting close to gold's valuation. I think the catalyst is going to be, as I said, a major central bank failing, plus the money printing is going to go absolutely Weimar Republic. So we're going to see that, depending on how you calculate this, the 10 to 15 trillion that was printed in the last
So 220,000 per Bitcoin. When